A very good morning to all of you, dear Marian, Andreas, dear members of the SESAR family. It's a great pleasure to be here today and also be part of the SESAR first annual conference. And I listened also carefully what the previous speakers were talking about, and I just wanted to comment something that Andreas was saying, namely that, and something that I feel also very strongly about, namely that SESAR is an international brand. It is something that we have worked on far more than a decade in order to make it an international brand, and I'm very proud that it is recognized all over the world. And I've always said that one thing is what we do here, what we do as the solutions, as the innovation, deploy them here in Europe, but at the same time also we are reaching out to our partners across the globe. And of course, also commenting on what Marian said, digital European sky, this is all what we want to see happening. But we equally want to see happening, of course, the adoption of serious and ambitious SES2+, and there is nobody else than Marian who is pushing it harder. So I also want to wish him continuously good luck, because everything else he has, he needs a little bit of luck too. But let me for a second just put us in the context that where we are. Last years have been unprecedented, as we have also lived through one crisis to the other, from the pandemic to the Russian aggression towards Ukraine. And believe me, there is unfortunately no easing of the crisis in sight. In fact, the next weeks and months are perhaps the most unpredictable times of our lifetime. COVID pandemic is still with us. The Russian aggression continues, and as the aggressor is being kicked out of Ukraine, it becomes more savage, attacks civilian objects and infrastructure, as we saw again day before yesterday and yesterday. At the same time, also our energy and electricity prices run very high, as are the food prices. All this results of unprecedented level of inflation that is eroding people's disposable income, and last but not least, interest rates are up. Again, something that many were forgetting can happen due to the situation over more than a decade. All this can be concluded by saying that we are experiencing and will continue to experience challenging times that affect our lives and the environment we live in. But we will endure and overcome them, coming out stronger and more united. I think this is what we all want, but I think this is also the context that we are currently living in. Of course, coming back now to the main topic, a lot is also going on in the European aviation sector. We need to make sure that aviation becomes more sustainable, and that because this is the license to grow, as you very well know. And that also, of course, means that the ATM services must become more sustainable, which should be able to deliver more in the short and medium term. And we also know that the SES2+ can give us 10% of additional CO2 savings if this is delivered. I think this is something worth fighting for. We also need to look at the existing design of the European airspace from a network perspective. I think we are moving to that direction. I think for a long time it was rather seen something which was fragmented, but more and more of network thinking, and also thanks to the good work of the network manager in Eurocontrol, we are trying to see more European sky also from a network perspective. We also need to achieve the digital European sky with full integration of new entrants. This is a work which is going on. this is also something I want to express my gratitude to Marian, because he was the one who was pushing at the time for the airspace architecture study. And this has, of course, helped us very much to make the necessary steps in order to prepare for the integration of new entrants and also the redesign of our airspace. And of course, we finally, as I said already, need to conclude the reform of the SES2 Plus legislative package. So just a few challenges ahead of us, just a few small ones. As a chair of SESAR governing board, I'm also pleased that SESAR is proactively involved in these processes and is a center of excellence that provides added value, not only by financing research projects, but also by becoming involved in policy development through close cooperation with the Commission. Last week, we concluded a very successful ICAO assembly, which also proved that concepts developed and supported by the JU, such as the U-Space, high-altitude operations, and trust framework, have found widespread support and worldwide recognition. And they were also proactively involved there. Thank you, Andreas. Thank you, David, and all the SESAR team. They were integral part of Team Europe, which was also very successful in Montreal. Even though the European ATM is facing many challenges, I have no doubt that here in Europe, the airspace fit for the 21st century will be designed and implemented first in the globe. And for that, we need all of us to work closely, but also effectively together. Among other things, the modernization of aviation sector is expected to deliver significant environmental improvements. ATM is in the forefront of this modernization to provide the first set of solutions to reduce the emissions from the aviation sector. At the same time, SESAR community needs to provide solutions to the systematic bottlenecks in the European skies. These are not simple fixes, but processes that need regulatory, technical, as well as operational actions. And we all need to support that, as the available capacity in the air needs to be increased, especially at the times where more than usual part of our airspace is also occupied by the military community. Innovation, civil-military cooperation, and efficient network management are the solutions here, of course, in addition to the concept of flexible use of airspace implementation. It is important also to recall that following the Russian aggression against Ukraine, the European airspace has been reduced by 20%, and we cannot expect that this part of the airspace will be opened any time in the near future. In addition, the overflights in the Russian airspace will probably remain restricted for a long time, which also means that we have new flight corridors and new bottlenecks which were not there before. It is important to keep this in mind because the associated challenges have shown the need for flexibility in the ATM service provision. The European Commission proposed already 2 years ago a revised legislative package, the SES2 Plus, which aims to insert the necessary flexibility also into the European ATM. Here, I would once again like to thank Marian for his unwavering support and strong commitment in pushing the proposal further and making sure that ATM data services become reality over time. Let me recall that the Commission compromised already by proposing that the use of ATM data services should be voluntary. Those who prefer to do everything themselves should have the possibility to do so, provided that they also evolve further. But at the same time, they would not prevent others who prefer to work with the state-of-the-art data service providers doing so. As always, I remain optimistic that the SES2 Plus legislative package will be adopted by the co-legislators during the mandate of the current European Parliament. This is essential for introducing the next generation of digital technologies into the European ATM for the sustainability of aviation and modernization of our aviation ecosystem. The SESAR project has provided many solutions that are already tackling the capacity and efficiency challenges, like free route airspace, arrival and departure management systems, remote towers, and airport operation plans, just to name a few. These were the early successes of SESAR project. The Commission also recently adopted the SESAR deployment program, which sets out in detail how the deployment of most crucial solutions will take place. And of course, we have the new deployment manager, which we are putting a lot of hopes so that the solutions can be deployed faster and more efficiently. Let me also remind you that there is currently an ongoing call by SINEA, which includes funding opportunities for the CP1 deployment projects, as well as for the Digital Sky demonstrators and upgrading of the CNS technologies. The deadline for the submission of proposals is actually tomorrow, and I hope that there will be many excellent proposals. Total budget for the industry research call is a solid 170 million euros, as well as 25 million euros for the exploratory research activities. In 2019, the SESAR project also embraced the new generation of ATM solutions. The Digital European Sky sets out a vision towards leaner, flexible, and more modern European ATM ecosystem. The Digital Sky will bring on many more information exchange services and will prepare the European ATM systems for the integration of the new entrants, like the innovative air mobility or high-altitude operations. And that was, at the time, also the right thing to do. Looking further, I'm afraid that the ATM challenges are actually only going to intensify. The pressure for the ATM to deliver environmental benefits will increase, and we need to start monitoring the environmental performance of the ANSPs in a much more targeted way. The European airspace will also continue to face shock closures also in the future, like by strikes affecting overflights, military needs, but also potentially by the lack of available capacity. At the same time, let's not forget that the demand for air travel will also continue to be strong, and the growth forecast is also solid for future. So we have more flights, and our airspace should be able to accommodate them without creating bottlenecks, without creating unnecessary delays, without challenges. We have agreed on the vision of the Digital European Sky until 2040 through an inclusive consultation process. So we also expect that everybody is, in fact, on board. In this context, it's also good to note that at the ICAO Assembly, we made important steps regarding the creation of the trust framework needed to enable digital services also at the global scale and to look into the integration of the low and high altitude operations. All these developments obviously also affect the SESAR project, and the governing board will discuss the process of carrying out the ATM master plan review at its meeting in December. I hope that today's conference will provide insights as well as the inspiration for that discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, the SESAR project has been a success, but the challenges facing our sector require continuous reflection and the lightness of new beginnings. I wish everyone an enjoyable conference. I look forward to discussing the results of our reflections and implementing them until the next annual conference of SESAR Free Joint Undertaking. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Henrik. Thank you.